note.
Get ready.
So as we're transitioning, next up we have Jessica, another Jessica, Jessica Canty, that's going to be sharing about tips for teleworking. So if you are new to working from home, then we're going to have Jessica share a few tips with us on how space for the truth of being in uncertain times. I think particularly those of us who live in Nashville, we have had a bit of a double whammy over the last couple of weeks. If you aren't familiar, Nashville suffered a really devastating tornado, and so there have been hundreds of small business owners and also families who have lost loved ones. I think the last count that I can remember was just over 24 people that lost their lives. So families whose lives are forever changed, business owners who are trying to figure out what their next step is, churches that were completely destroyed, schools that were destroyed, and having to double up two schools in one building. And so in the midst of navigating all of that, also COVID-19, which felt like the next week. So we know that there are people that are not only navigating just being at home, but also navigating the stress of a devastating tornado the week before. And so we wanted to just make sure that we had someone to come on and just share what are some things that we can think about now that we're at home, whether you are a business owner or if you are an employee, or if you're doing both, to be productive as you are teleworking. So with that, Jessica, I think you should be unmuted. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Awesome. I see you.
Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome
Tell us a little
sauce.
bit about yourself, where you're from, and jump into sharing with us a few tips about how we can be productive while teleworking.
Okay, well, my name is Jessica Canty. I am a life and career strategist. I have a passion for helping people go from unfulfilled jobs to their dream careers. And one of the things that I think a lot of people may be in a space of is before having to work at home, I was juggling a busy schedule of a 9 to 5 and a 5 to 9, trying to get the 5 to 9 off the ground and wanting to make sure that it was something that could provide for my 9 to 5 life. And so when I'm working with a lot of people and speaking with them about their concerns, it's like, well, what do I do with my time now? And I challenge everyone on this call, along with members of the audience, that you want to make telework resolutions. Now we are in a time where a lot of people have forgotten about their New Year's resolutions. And so this is the time to dig in and make those telework resolutions. So I want to give you, I failed to mention that I'm in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. I think I answered that question, right? Okay. So a couple of tips around how to stay productive with this time. I have 5 minutes. I'm going to do it with one per minute. Here we go. You want to be clear on your why. Why are you staying in this job? Why is it? What challenges are you currently facing in your career? Why is that a challenge? Some of us are now commuting from our bed to the computer, but we're still not fulfilled. We still don't have a passion for the work that we're doing. Or some of us are like, now's the time I really want to focus on shifting gears in my career. So this is the time to ask yourself, the miracle question. If tomorrow you woke up with your dream career, what would that look like? How would you know it was different? What about your life would be different? Would it be sort of like how you mentioned earlier, Brittany, that some people in the audience were talking about, I would spend more time with family. I would be more intentional with my budget about spending and cooking at home. So you want to map that out now, because what a lot of times happens is that people get in unfulfilling positions because they stay with comfort zone positions. And that's why I'm so glad that I followed Jessica, because she was willing to step outside of her comfort zone instead of staying on that that hamster wheel, if you will, of I keep doing the same thing over and over again and I'm expecting different results. So you really need to be clear on your why. The second thing I really want to encourage you in is to remember why you're great. You have to know your superpower. If you watched any superhero movies, you know the superheroes know their power and they know what they're out to vanquish. So they know what their enemy is and they know what their weaknesses are. So I highly suggest that instead of Netflixing and chilling, instead of scrolling through your Instagram feed, I highly suggest you use this time to remember why you're great. If you're struggling with that, because a lot of people will sell themselves short, I highly suggest you check out some assessments, personality assessments. Now, I'm not talking about those quizzes, are you more of a rock or a flower type situation, but I'm talking about real personality assessments. I'm going to suggest I don't work for those companies. I just love the results. I suggest you check out 16personalities.com. I absolutely love that assessment. It only will take you maybe about 10 to 12 minutes. It's completely free. And it's pages upon pages of your strengths. It'll point out your areas of improvement. It'll even tell you how you would behave as a supervisor, how you would behave as an employee. So for those who are trying to determine, do I want to be an entrepreneur or employee, it's got a lot of great tips. The second one the audience may be familiar with is StrengthsFinder. The StrengthsFinder, I absolutely love it. It is a nominal fee. I think it's like between $20 and $40. But if you're not spending money on, Starbucks right now, you're not, spending it on coffee. It's time to invest that money where it's gonna serve you the most good when we come out of this, because we will come out of this, and you want to be ready to go. The other thing is that when you remember why you're great and you do these assessments, it's really, really great for your resume, for your elevator speech, when you're writing your highlighting the highlight reel of your resume, because you can pull directly from that language and put it right into your resume. Which takes me to number 3. It's recommended that you update your resume every 6 months. But right now, I want to give you a tidbit that most people don't know, is that when it comes to resumes, one size does not fit all. So this is the time you want to look for those job descriptions. You want to print off the job descriptions and make your resume tailored to that job description. I like to call it the 3 T's of resumes. It's the right tool, Jessica, and you kind of hit on it, Brittany, transformational language and transferable skills. So if you can kind of see behind me, I've got like my whole command center going on of all the tasks I want to complete. I suggest you do the same thing for your resume. Take out a poster and do a poster for each of the positions that you've done in your employment history. And you want to begin to highlight and circle the things that are transferable, that you see like that are repetitive across the board. And then that will help you to see, okay, what needs to be together? What needs to be grouped together? Do I need to do a CV like Jessica said? Or do I need to do a combination resume versus a chronological resume? And in this time, I would highly suggest we do combination resumes, especially for those who are not teleworking. They've been asked to stay at home and they're not getting paid. So you may have gaps in your resume. So I highly suggest you doing that combination resume. Number 4 was right in line with what Jessica and Brittany said, but I want to kind of expound on that idea. When you're asking for help, now is the time to connect with your executive board. Now, that might sound strange if you're not an entrepreneur, you don't own a company, but I like to tell people that you want to treat your career like it's a company, and every successful company has an executive board. So I always tell people you need to have a mentor, a coach, a role model, and a sponsor. So what a beautiful space to be in, because Brittany's a coach. So you're connected to a coach already. And even with that whole role model piece, if you're going to be scrolling on Instagram or Twitter, whatever social media is your preference, I suggest you mute everybody else but your role model. Mute everybody else but your coach. Because the only thing you need to focus on right now is your career success. And you could get distracted by people who are living this out differently than you. But right now is the time to focus in on the connections. You can email people right now. We're meeting across the country online. So I highly suggest you do that. Meet with your executive board. And then the last thing I want you to do is to become your own marketing manager. What does that mean? This is the time to clean up your brand. When you're on that feed, delete pictures of you on the beach with your friends. Especially if you're looking for government positions. If you want a security clearance, now is the time to clean up that your online profile. Now's the time to make videos about your career. Now's the time to make the video to sell yourself. Make just 1 minute as to like pretend like you're in front of the person who's interviewing you. What would you say to them? Post a video about that. So wrapping up, the top 5 things I want you to do is to be clear on your why. Remember why you're great. Update your resume. Meet with your executive board and be your own marketing manager. Brand.
Love that, Jessica. Thank you so much. That was so good. So good. Did you all enjoy that? Listen, I'm all about inspiration plus implementation, because that equals transformation. So here's my question for you in the chat. Let me know. You just heard from 2 amazing Jessicas that shared some career advice for us as we're navigating this uncertainty. what's the one thing that you're going to commit to doing?